Hey guys, welcome back to I'm an Actor, Not a Therapist. I'm Sammy. So, what's going on? Y'all, welcome to 2024. Oh, nobody touch nothing. Hands in your pockets and let's all go through this quietly. No, I'm kidding. No, this year we are going to grab 2024 by the hair and drag it with us, is what we're going to do. And in the past 2 weeks, I've been asked, I don't know how many times, what are your New Year's resolutions? And I get it. I get it. Everybody, that's kind of how we're wired, right? At the end of the old year, at the beginning of the new year, we make resolutions that we want to do throughout the year. And then about 2 seconds after the new year starts and the dust settles from the holidays and we all go back to life and work, we often forget about them, right? I mean, maybe you'll do a couple of them, but you generally forget about them until the end of the year when you go, shoot, I meant to do fill in the blank here. So a couple years ago, right, I started ignoring resolutions. I don't make resolutions, I make goals. And here's why. I've explained this to people in the past couple of weeks, and they've told me that it makes sense. So I hope that it makes sense to you all too. I don't make resolutions, I make goals. And here's why. So, resolution, right? It just sounds so rigid and it sounds so permanent and it sounds like this impossible bar that you're not going to reach, right? We all hope to hit our resolutions. We all hope that we're going to achieve these out of reach, top of the world benchmarks for the next year. But what if I wasn't done with the resolutions from the year before? Do I just add that to my cosmic to-do list and just carry the resolution into the next year? So instead of resolutions, I make goals because goals are flexible. Goals can change. Goals are little projects for yourself that you can work on over time. Goals feel a lot less like you're racing for a finish line at the end of the year, right? If you tell me your resolution is to lose 50 pounds, the next words out of your mouth are going to be 50 pounds by X date. 50 pounds by X date. Well, now you've set a standard for yourself that you might not be able to get to. And not from lack of trying. I don't want to put that out there. That's not what I'm saying. But it can become such a hyperfixation with the connotation of it being a resolution, right? But if you say to me, hey, my goal is to lose 50 pounds by 4th of July, let's say, because we're in January. By 4th of July, I want to lose 50 pounds. Great. That's fine. Well, in August, you got derailed because, you're an emotional eater and something happened. Well, now you don't hit that goal for July. So you take stock, like we've talked about here before, you take stock, you readjust, and you move on. And the goal changes, right? For me, the word resolution is so etched in stone and so feels like it's at the end of some cosmic finish line that I can't do it. I can't make resolutions. I make goals. And my goals are varied, and everybody's goals are varied, and everybody's goals are very personal. And sometimes, yeah, we carry our goals from year to year to year. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like if we make resolutions and then we have to carry those resolutions from year to year, we start hyperfixating. I'm trying to find the words here because I know what I'm trying to say. We start hyperfixating on it, and it almost becomes a joke, right? So you tell people, hey, I have this resolution that I want to lose 50 pounds by this date. It almost feels like if you don't hit that goal, if you don't hit that resolution, that rigid date of your resolution, people around you, and again, this is my personal opinion, this is how I feel about resolutions, how I've observed them. All right, this is totally my own opinion. You don't hit that resolution, but you've said that resolution out loud to people. Well, now those same people, can look at you and go, well, what happened? I thought your resolution was to lose 50 pounds. How's that going? You know what I mean? For some reason in my mind, and I'm not saying I'm right and I'm not saying I'm wrong, this is just an opinion, this is what I've observed. People seem less supportive if you don't hit a resolution, unless they themselves didn't hit a resolution. Think about it. But if I say my goal is to lose 50 pounds by this date, all of a sudden the people around you become super supportive and they want to help you and they want to do it with you. And if you don't reach your goal, that's okay, you're still working on it. It changes the connotation. The word resolution to me changes the connotation of the goal. And I don't like that. It puts you on some cosmic time clock. No matter what your quote unquote resolution is. One of my goals this year is to take a trip to Ireland. I'm going. Make no mistake about it. I'm going. And I've said that I will not give anybody that doesn't need to know the dates that I was supposed to go or that I'm going, so I'm not going to. But the dates that I have picked out might need to change because of life circumstances right now for me. That doesn't mean that I'm not going. That doesn't mean that I'm throwing the goal in the garbage and going, I'll use that money for my bills. No, absolutely not. What that means is that my goal is to take this trip. It means that I might have to adjust that goal in order to accommodate something from life that needs to be accommodated, right? But if I say my resolution is to go to Ireland on this date and be there until this date, when I don't meet that quote unquote resolution because of life's circumstances, people almost can hold you more to the wall for it. And I don't want to say hold you accountable. I was going to, and I don't want to, because people should always be held accountable for their goals, whether gently or tough love or however people need to, be held accountable for their goals. But there's a way to go about that, right? So that's why I don't make resolutions. I make goals, because clearly life happens. Life happens. Unexpected things happen. Curveballs happen. Depression happens. Anxiety happens. Having to step away from everybody or everything for a little while happens. Locking yourself in your room for a few days happens. Very real things like this happens. And when things like this happen, it means that we might not be paying as close enough attention to our goals as we should. Doesn't mean that we've thrown them in the garbage. Doesn't mean that, we're not ever going to get back to them. It just means that it needs to be paused so that we can come back to it. Whereas resolution sounds almost like a freaking gladiator sport. You know what I mean? Like, no pain, no gain. It's like, well, um, and it was just brought to my attention, full disclosure, as I'm recording this, I'm also I'm also on a TikTok live. Because we don't ever do one thing at a time here. I'm an actor, not a therapist, so I'm always doing more than one thing at a time. Um, and I like this quote that I was just given. Goals require progress and plays and stops. One does not simply lose 50 pounds. Um, and I like that. And I think that that's totally, totally right. Um, because, it's, you're playing with your goals, you're playing the long game. You know, Depending on what your goal is, it could take you years to get that goal, right? Just like it takes years to master anything, like sports. It takes years for people to be, I'm talking sports. I know, I don't sports, but hang in there with me for a second. Um, it takes years for a starting pitcher to learn how to throw the way that they do, right? They're not going to wake up one morning and go, "Oh, I know how to do this." It takes years to practice that. It takes years to hone that skill. So, why should our goals be something that we rush to master? Right? Um, it's just something I've been thinking about because it's the time of year that everybody's doing it. It's the time of year that everybody is looking at their life and their goals, and if they want to make resolutions, looking at their resolutions and stuff. Um, I'm looking at it through a different lens this year because I've got a lot of life stuff going on, and those that need to know what I'm talking about. A lot of life stuff going on right now that has caused me to really sit and examine some stuff. Even my mom was saying that I should sit and examine some stuff, and I was like, listen, listen, I'm working on it. Listen. Um, but I think I'm just looking at it differently this year because it's the first year in a long time that, you know, I'm in the position that I'm in. Um, so I'm in this place of let me take a breath. Let me figure out what the next move is while I go after my goals, right? While I go after my goals, let's try to figure out what comes next. And because I'm in this unique position this year, I find myself looking at a lot of stuff. Now the big stuff isn't going to change. I'm an actor. Like that's just going to be the way it is. I'm not looking to reinvent my wheel a whole lot or anything like that. What I'm looking at though is how to spend the time, right? So for years I've said I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. Well, I have been gifted a lot of time lately. And in being gifted time lately, it's made me look at some of my goals and gone, you always said you didn't have time for this. Well, now you've got time. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do about it? So this is what I'm doing about it. I made a list of my goals for this year. I actually made them. A friend of mine sent me this video the other day and was basically like, we should do this. And I said, what is this? And I looked at it, and it was a video of this person that instead of making like a goal list, made her goals into a bingo game. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing I'd ever seen. I thought that was brilliant. And then I thought about like the science behind it. Like, how accomplished do you feel playing a game of bingo and being able to cross off a box? Like that, it was like I found fire. It was fantastic. So I now have my resolution. I now have my goals bingo card for 2024. I've already checked off a box. So, um, I already checked off a box of my goals. So there's that. But it made me really sit and look at what my real goals were. And I said, I can do this. You know, the word goal is so motivating to me because then it turns into I'm going to prove to you that I can do this. I'm going to prove that I can do this just because you don't think I can. And the person I'm talking to is always myself. It's always myself. Um, I squish self-doubt faster than I doubt myself. It's actually a quite interesting relationship I have with myself sometimes. Um, I looked at my goal list and on my bingo card, and there was a lot of heavy stuff on there. There's a lot of big things on there. There's a lot of little things on there. Um, so it's also one of these things that, again, I can physically see it. I know that these are goals. None of them were unfamiliar to me. None of them. They're all things that I've been working on for the past year. And I'm bringing them into 2024 with me because I'm not done with them. I'm not done with my goals yet. I still have these goals. It doesn't mean, though, that I'm not making progress in them, right? Resolutions we want to happen overnight. We don't actually want to put the work in. I mean, look at, again, if we're going to go with this, I want to lose 50 pounds because let's face it, the stereotype is that January 1st, the gyms will be flooded and 2 days later, the gyms will be empty again, right? That's a stereotype. And I honest to gosh hope that that does not happen this year. I hope that if you're going to go after that goal, you continue to go after that goal because man, is it a ride. Throwing that out there as I throw the stereotype out there as well. But if we're going to go with that, people walk into this with the mindset of, I'm going to go to the gym for a week or two and it's going to solve my problem. When I tell you it took me like 3 months to lose like 12 pounds, and granted, it could have happened faster if I was more disciplined. I'm going to own that. I have a great group of people around me that remind me of that. We hold each other up, but at the same time we go, go at your own pace, do what you got to do, but challenge yourself. And I definitely am ready to challenge myself with all the time that I have. It's an interesting dichotomy is what it is what it becomes. So goals. I have goals. I don't have resolutions. And I know that my friends all have goals. Big, small, something that'll take them 5 minutes, but we just haven't gotten around to doing. Something that they've been planning for years and it's finally going to happen this year. Or, in my case, stuff that I've wanted for a while, but I know that I'm going to need help with. So it plays into I hate asking for help, and it's something that really causes me anxiety, and I really do need to ask for the help. That will affect how fast or slow the goal gets achieved, right? If there's some mental block or something like that is hindering you from faster progress towards your goal, then it just makes it that much more difficult. Doesn't mean that it's not achievable. Not at all. It just means it might take you a little while longer. As I've learned every year when I go after this one goal and then realize at the end of the year I am right the same place I was before. But that does not mean that I've given up on my goals. People give up on their resolution, guys. People give up on their resolutions. They don't achieve them. They get angry they didn't achieve them, and they give up on them. That's another reason I don't make resolutions. I'm going to screw this up more than once. I know that I am. I've already backpedaled on my words and stepped on them, and we're going to try to make sure that I don't do that again. But people give up on their resolutions. They get angry at them if they don't achieve them. People treat themselves more gently with goals. People understand that goals are something to be progressed on every day. Whereas for some reason, people think resolutions are going to happen overnight. I don't understand what the disconnect is. I don't know if we could ever make the words interchangeable. And I don't know if, I don't know if we'll ever be able to treat them the same. Because we only use the word resolution once a year. Goals we use all year. Think about it. At work, you talk about what your goals are. At home with your partner, your friends, your family, what are your goals? Well, what's the goal here? You're having this argument with me. What's the goal here? We're having this conversation. What's the goal? In your creative life, what is the goal of the piece you're trying to produce? If you're producing a piece for public consumption. So we're so much more used to hearing the word goal and knowing inherently that a goal is something that we're going to have to work towards. Whereas because we only hear the word resolution maybe once a year, it becomes this top of the world, out of reach kind of thing that we feel like if we don't reach that thing within the first 6 months of the year, we've completely failed ourselves. So I don't like this word. I don't like the word resolution. I think I'm going to stick with the word goal. And I know that my friends all stick with the word goal as well. So that's just my hot take on it. Take it, leave it, throw it in the trash, whatever you want to do with it. Take it with a grain of salt. That's just my take on it. And I would love conversation. My DMs are open. You can leave a comment. I'd like you to leave comments, actually. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Because it really does help. In the meantime, welcome to season 3. It's going to be a very interesting season. Thank you so much for coming back. We're going to have some fun this season. I have a couple of cool guests coming up. We're going to take a look at, we're going to still keep traveling this journey of mental health, but we're going to do it a little differently this season, I think. So a lot of fun things coming up this season. And again, if you want to be updated about everything, we're here every Sunday. And like, comment, subscribe, follow on YouTube. These episodes are now going to become available not only through streaming, through Spotify and the other areas that we are in right now, but we're also going to be available on YouTube as well. Follow me on TikTok, on Insta, on YouTube. There is some awesome stuff coming in 2024. That is my goal. And with all that, I hope you all have a fabulous week. And until next time, I will talk to you all soon. Bye.